wake.
Hello beautiful people, it's Derryn here from Art by Derryn, welcoming you to another ArtStart DIY. Spring has sprung, the hyacinths are blooming, and it's time for us to do some spring decor. So I'm going to show you making these little tiered tray minis, and I'll also show you how to make a tiered tray at the end as well. So I went into my stash and pulled out all things that reminded me of spring, and here you can see I've got these beads that have got flowers all over them, and I'm just tying them on with a heart medallion on one end, and I try a few different things. I've left all this in for you to see kind of my process, that a messy studio often is inspires creativity, because you sort of see something out of the corner of your eye and think, oh, that'll work with that, or this will work with that. So I've shown you my process here. So I did end up putting some keys on the other end. These are some little resin cameos that I had. I thought they might look nice on the tray. You can see the bunnies up there that I've painted. I had to paint them a few times actually. They were a pain in the bum. Here's a little triquetra, little Celtic knot, representing the triple goddess for spring, of course. And I'm just showing you here how you can use charms by cutting off the little circles where you'd normally attach a jump ring, and then you've got the piece just on its own. I did that a few times in this. I cut off some little circles off the side of crowns that I've got to go onto the bunnies. So here I've decided to make a little sign. Oh no, actually I'm just putting together a little piece of wood to hold up this triquetra, and it's quite easily stood up with that. Then I decided to make some signs. So 3 of the little tumbling tower blocks together make a square, and then I decided I'm going to use some paddle pop sticks to create a frame around the edge. I cut it there with the wire cutters. You shouldn't really do that. But scissors are the best thing to cut paddle pop sticks. You sort of have to do it in 2 bits. You sort of cut a little bit and then cut a little bit more, and then they don't split. Or you can cut them with a saw, which I'll show you later. I do that as well. So there's my little signs. Just got some gesso out. You could use chalk paint, whatever you've got. White paint just to paint those signs. I'm going to stick some stickers on those as well. I'm just fiddling with, oh, there's those little crowns I was telling you about. Just cutting off the circles off the edge of those, and they'll go on the bunnies when they're dry. I found a little butterfly now, so I'm going to paint that white, because the only butterflies that are around at the moment are the cabbage white moths trying to get at my cruciferous vegetables. But we'll add one of those in as well. And then I decided I'd use the tumbling tower blocks to make some little books. So that's why those little ones are painted there. This is called the Flower Market. I don't often buy scrapbook paper, but this was gorgeous, so I just had to have it. And then I saw this one as well. I was like, oh, okay, that looks pretty cool too. So I've got some of those, and I'm going to add those to those square frames. Just fiddling with a few little flowers and leaves just to see what I want to attach to it. And then we've got to have a hand dance, people. It's time for the hand dance. Yeah, okay, that's enough. Come on, stop. Please stop. Okay, good. Alright, so I've cleaned up with my little, those little vacuum cleaners for crumbs and stuff are fantastic. Here I'm fiddling with some leaf charms, and I'm thinking it's a bit dark. I might use that for a Christmas thing, I think. Then I have this 9-hour tea light that I'm going to use as a base. So I cut my paddle pop sticks in my little mitre box there. This has been really handy just to have in my drawer for doing this kind of thing. And you can see that as I'm doing it, I'm putting the hot glue on around the edge, and as I'm doing it, you don't notice, but I'm sort of pushing it at the top. Don't do that. When I tried to pull this bloody candle out, after I put some ribbon on, I was going to put flowers in it. That was the thought to start with. So here am I, and I put this ribbon around, tighten it really well, and because I've bent it over at the top, can't get the bloody candle out, can I? Here we go. Well, that's how it's going to stay. Great. That's what I meant to do, actually. Don't we all do that? So then I go off onto something else, put the frame around the pictures and then add the little blocks to stand them up. Here's those little stickers that I got from the flower market, scrapbook paper, and I'm just fiddling with flowers and little leaves, trying to work out what goes best. I tried these leaves and I tried those leaves. Then I went, okay, you know what, I like the first leaves better because of the colour of the leaves on the sticker itself. So I stuck those on with a bit of glue and then put this sign on, there's no place like home, and added a little ribbon and flower as well. So then after that, we put all that stuff aside and we go, okay, now what? We're going to clean up a little bit and then, wait, here we go. Okay, we've got all these paddle pop sticks left over that I just cut. So, what am I going to do with those? Shall I make a window? No, that's not going to work. What about a little shutter? Yeah, there's not enough of those. Okay, I made a little kind of wishing well, and I would have left it as a wishing well had the candle been able to be pulled out of the other one because I was going to put flowers in the other one. So this one I had to put flowers in. What my intention was to, at the start, was to hang one of those little resin flowers sort of off a bit of string to look like a little bucket in a wishing well, and wrap the outside in, here you'll see I'm doing it now, in string. So what it ends up looking like, once the flowers are in there, of course you don't see the little wooden piece there, so it just looks like a little basket. And you do notice that I pulled the candle out first this time. I wasn't going to get caught with that again. And I can use that wax up when I make some candles, it's not a problem. There's plenty of wax around here. So here I'm just gluing that down, as you see, each little row, just to get it to stick. Now, because I've going to have flowers in this, I don't do anything with the top. If you're going to use this as like a little mini wishing well, I'd use antique wax on the wooden struts sort of pieces just to make them a little bit darker, and I'd probably add a little bit more around the top and cover up the metal. But I kind of knew it was going to have flowers, so oh my goodness, here we go. Here I start yawning again. Oh, sorry about that. Excuse me. Okay, I'm using a bit of a flame to get rid of all that excess fuzz off that, and put a little bit of florist foam in, just cutting it with the side of my scissors and popping that in to put these florals in. Now at this stage I didn't have any small florals. The blue daisies are a little large. I don't mind the smaller white daisy, but it's what I've got at the moment. Of course, as soon as I'd finished this and filmed it and everything, my little tiny lavenders arrived. So anyway, not to worry, there's those flowers done. Got a shot glass there, I'm going to do something with that in a minute. These wooden letters I got from Lincraft, a little box of them, and just sticking those down onto a little spare piece of wood that I had, and making a little hello spring. Oh, did I say hello there? Spring? Something like that. Hi there, spring. I can't remember what I put down. You'll see in a second. Stay tuned. Also, out of the top of painter's sticks that I had left over from that vintage fairy box, I'll link that up the top, I made this little bloom sign, a little banner. And again, that was from the spring, the spring market scrapbook page. So here, just got a bit of that chalk paint that I got from Kmart. Look, it's okay, it's a matte paint, it's not as thick as the folk art stuff, but you know, it does the job, and it's so cheap. It's like $4 or $5 for a big tub of it, so that's all you can afford. It'll work. Here I am deciding, shall I put a little flower on the end of that, because I didn't have to cut it. It was quite a little bit longer than I wanted. So I'm making a little flower pot out of a bead and a toothpick, and then I tried to show it to you, but it was all fuzzy. You'll see it in a second. This is a little Alice in Wonderland spring hare that I had, little March hare, so I stuck him on the end. Here am I painting the bunnies again. If you get this kind of thing, I don't know what it was, it just started peeling off, so I would have spray painted them had I known it was going to do that. here's that little sign. I wrote it in black so it didn't like it. Oh, they're those little books I was telling you about as well. And here's that little shot glass. I've just painted it white with some white chalk paint. Put a little bit of ribbon and a little bird hanger off that. I'm going to put a flower in that in a second. This is what it gets like when you're doing crafts. You've got a million things going at once. So here's the little books that I was telling you about. Just painted one pink, one white, one blue, wrapped it in a ribbon, decided it needed something on the side, so I was going to write spring has sprung, did it in the black again. It was too dark. I did end up going over that in a gold pen, and then I added that little bead flower on top as well. So here's that flower I'm going to pop into the shot glass and just add a little butterfly onto that rose leaf and put some moss on top of that as well. Had a little wood round, which I grabbed another one of those stickers, stuck that on, and these little eggs that I had that I painted with blue chalk paint, again that stuff from Kmart, watered down some black gesso here just to sprinkle it on so it kind of looks like robin's eggs. And now we're going to make a nest. So I blew up a balloon and put it into a little jar just to hold it, and then got all these spare pieces of string that I had. Now this raffia I thought was going to be a good thing for this nest. It was not. It was a plastic raffia which I'd never seen before. And didn't realise that's what I'd bought. Anyway, so I used these ends of bits of rope and just sort of undid them and soaked them in the glue that was just watered down a little bit, and then made a nest shape on the bottom of this balloon. This did take a couple of days to dry. If you're going to make one for your tiered tray, because this I actually put onto my dining room table, I would make it smaller than that one if you're going to put it on the tiered tray so it would fit. Same thing, just make it tinier. So here we are putting our crowns on our bunnies. And if you know the story of Easter, or O-Easter, it's spelled O-E-S-T-R-E. The bunnies were the white hairs. There's a whole story there. Should I tell it to you? It's about the bunnies. These two bunnies couldn't have, they were birds. Oh, that's right, it was a bird that was dying, and to bring it to life she had to change it into a rabbit. But these rabbits, when they gave birth, did so with eggs because they had used to be birds. That's the story of Easter, goddess Easter. Anyway, and so the bunnies were the best in the forest and they got crowned. Hence the little crowns on my bunnies. And the little blue ribbon, doesn't it look gorgeous? With a little ruffle. I love these bunnies. They're a pain in the bum to paint. As I said, spray paint them if you've got anything with this fuzzy stuff on it like I had. I thought it would just accept paint. It was not good. So then I decided I need a watering can. Of course you need a watering can. Everybody needs a watering can. I've got this aluminium flushing. I'm just wrapping it around a bottle to get that circular shape, and I bumped my camera, so this was off camera a bit. I just made a cone shape and then cut a square into the bottom of it so I could flatten it down to stick it to the cylinder. And I did that with E6000 just so it would stick. It wouldn't stick with hot glue. You see that there? You'll see a better shot of it in a second. And I just held it on with a clip. Did the same thing to the side, E6000 and a couple of clips, and left that to dry for a bit. It was a process. You can see the little handles there I made. Just cut some pieces, bent the ends. They're going to get stuck on the top and the side of that as well. So then I had some more sticks left over. So I thought, okay, well, let's make a little window out of them. So here am I just measuring it up to try and get it all even. And yeah, I make it like that. So just using my cutting mat there to get the distance so it's equidistant, and you didn't need to see me just cut those and stick them together. I think you know how to do that sort of thing. I ended up putting a little piece of acrylic on the back so it looks more like a window. Really not necessary to do that. And then just some tumbling towel blocks to hold it up again. I get those from Amazon if you're wondering where to get them. Haven't seen them in the reject shop. My reject shop around here is not really very good. Anyway, making a wreath from these little bits of eucalyptus. I thought I could just bend it, but it wouldn't. It was too tiny to try and bend it. So I got some wire, wrapped around my hand a few times, and wrapped around the bottle. So I got that circular shape again, and then tied the ends around each other, so I end up with sort of 3 wires all the way around, and it's sort of wrapped. And it just makes it a little bit easier to stick the leaves on. I'm just cutting those eucalyptus leaves off and adding them around with hot glue. And they stuck on. I mean, this is not going to be moved very much, so I think it will be okay for the season. And finishing up there with the leaves, and then I'm going to add a little bit of ribbon to attach it to the window, just by looping it on one side and taking that over the top and gluing it down with some hot glue and adding a little blue ribbon on the front of that. Just a simple bow. There you see me sticking it on, and there it stands up. Very cute. Also, I had this leftover brown wood, so I thought to make a little grow box out of it, trying to use up my leftovers. Had to use some tumbling tower blocks. That was the only thing that would fit. Put some moss into that, and a few of those eucalyptus things, and these little rose buds that I had, and some moss to cover up the foam. There's my little watering can. I decided to paint it up. I might have left it actually with the silver, but I probably would have done some sort of rust thing to it. So here's my tiered tray. It's going to be very simple, just 2 squares of wood. It's this old wood that I had in the garage. I think it's about 1/2 inch thick. It's quite thick. And these are leftover spindles that I've cut down on my miter saw so that it will fit. I screwed, when I drilled that hole in the bottom, I used a drill bit that was just a little bit smaller than the screws I was going to use, so that the screws could bite when they went in there. That's just how you pick drill bits for screws, if you wanted to know. Drilled that into the top and added the top piece, and this is where I started making a mistake. I should have glued this spindle the way I like the pattern. I should have glued it together before I did any of this. It would have made everything a hell of a lot easier, because you'll see it doesn't stick. Then I put hot glue on. Major mistake, because the hot glue sort of lifted it up at the sides, and so that the glue actually wouldn't stick. And here you see I'm pulling it off, putting more glue on. Again, you'll see me later on as well having to do it for a 3rd time. So learn from my mistake. When you gluing spindles together, just use wood glue and leave them to dry. I was just impatient. I just wanted to get this finished. So here you see I'm adding antiquing wax. I thought that's all I was going to do to it. And then I really didn't like the colour. It's kind of orangey and brown, and yeah, just not great. So I used white chalk paint and my really old paintbrush, which is great. I just use it for this thing, for distressing woods and, you know, getting that kind of look. It's also good for painting trees if you're using acrylics to paint trees. It's very good for that too. So here you see, for the 3rd time, me having to pull the glue off, and it doesn't look like I did it for very long there, but I did actually sand that back again and glued it all. So here is the tray, and of course that 3rd time I didn't put the point in the middle, so I hope you don't notice that too much, but there's my little teddy that one of my daughters gave me, and here's the tray all finished. So happy spring, everybody. Join me next time. We're going to do some just refreshers on my kitchen decor. There's a little sort of sneak peek of that, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you've got any questions, leave a comment or just say hi. I'd love to talk to you, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.